Hello and welcome to the Creabea Knitting podcast. Hello, welcome, my name's Rebecca. I'm a knitter and knitwear designer based in Edinburgh, and this is a vlog or a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on, and what I'd like to cast on in the not too distant future. And I'm so excited to film today. I have a pattern release, I've got a test call, I got some random finished objects, I got new yarn. There's a lot going on right now. I feel like I have started all recent videos by apologising for the seagulls, but yet again I'm going to apologise for the seagulls. They're so loud today. Yeah, I've got loads to share. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to keeping you company for a little bit. I feel like there should be more to that of an intro, but I don't think there is, so I'm going to jump straight in. And yeah, I'll save all like personal updates and stuff for the end because people are here for knitting, and if you want to hear about me, you can wait until the end to hear about that. So first and foremost, today I'm launching my Lunan Tee pattern. I feel like this is like a slow burn, and now that it's pattern release day, I am so excited. I am just so proud of this pattern, and I feel like I've not done it justice by hyping it up enough, and I'm going to try and rectify that this weekend by hyping up as much as it deserves because I'm so pleased with it. I'm wearing one of them, so let me talk you through my samples. Before I jump in, there's a discount code for this pattern all weekend on Ravelry and Etsy, and the discount code is down below and the link to the patterns are down below. So if, as I'm talking, you're like, oh, maybe I'll get one of those, you can head down below and get the discount whilst I'm talking. So I am wearing one of my samples. If you've been here for a while, you will know that I think a newer feature of my designing, although I realised recently that my second ever pattern also was kind of customizable, but something I've leaned into more recently is like very customizable, lots of options patterns. I think that in my brain, once I've got like the general construction of something, the idea of like changing up the gauge, changing up the options just opens up. I was thinking about this recently, sorry, I'm already on a tangent and I've not even started properly. I was thinking about this recently and I was thinking about how when I said I was going to design a pattern for the first time, I designed it and then I felt my brain exploded with ideas, and this is kind of how it's going now with customization. I've kind of like opened a door in my brain, and now as I'm knitting the first sample, I'm like, oh, I could try this, oh, I could try this, oh, what about this, oh, maybe this. And I like it. I think it resonates. My more customizable patterns are the ones that I've done better, like sales wise, and it means, I don't know, it just gives you more options for your money, and it means it goes over more seasons. You can knit it for more people, you can knit a pattern a couple of times. And this is all that to say, this is also a really customizable pattern. So there are two weights, there's a DK and a 4-ply or a fingering weight, and there are two neckline options, a polo neck and a round neck. So I am wearing my 4-ply polo. I had this on sample knit, so I did not knit it myself. I am obsessed. This might be my favourite, this is definitely right this moment in time, my favourite thing in my knitted wardrobe. I'm kind of sad because I'm trying to not wear knits around the puppy because I think he goes like this to being a little chompy monster, and I don't really care if he puts holes in like ratty t-shirts, but I will be upset if he puts holes in this, so I'm trying to like not give him the opportunity to fail. But I want to wear it everywhere. I've worn it to the office this week, I worked at Knit Night on Monday, they're my two like non-dog places to go. And yeah, I'm just super into it. I love the fit. This is on like the slightly like lesser side of positive ease. And yeah, I just love it so much. So this is knit up in Sandnesgarn Sunday, a single strand, and it is the colour That Orange Feeling. I had a sample knit in my Lanark zippy polo in this yarn held double, and I adore that, but it is too big for me. And it's gonna get gifted. I already know who it's going to. They've told me they'll take it. I shouldn't just see them and give them it. But I adored the colour and I adored the yarn, and so I just feel like, I don't know, this feels kind of like now I'm ready to part ways with the Lanark, which I don't ever wear because it's too big, because I've got something in that colour. And I think I've mentioned this before, but like I'm a true winter colours, and I do find that these bright colours are not always what I want to knit with, but I do, every time I knit with them and I try it on, I'm like, yeah, that does in fact suit me, and I think this is a perfect example of that. So let me talk about the pattern and then I will show you my other samples. I've got some photos. We did pictures with Jasmine. I've not done pictures with Jasmine since January, so it was really nice to go and see Jasmine, and we went with a couple of knit nighters, two who have never done pictures before, which was really fun, and Maggie, who is in I think just about every one of my patterns. There are definitely some she's not done, but she's done a lot of them. And what I love is that Maggie was not a test knitter for this. But I had extra samples, and so I'd messaged in Knit Night and said, is anyone free and wants to come? And Maggie was free and she came along, and I have a blue sample and Maggie loves to wear blue, so it all worked out perfectly. So even not being a test knitter, Maggie still came along for the pictures, which I was super pleased at. We went to a really nice garden that I hadn't been to before in Edinburgh and took amazing pictures, so I will put them up as I'm talking. So this is a drop shouldered design. I'll grab a sample to show you actually. It has this back detailing, which I've got this in a lot of my patterns right now. I'm really having a moment with it. It's like a single rib detail down the back that runs under the arm. It has a shaped sleeve, so there's short rows in this top, which makes it fit quite well. And I was talking about this earlier in the week. I was actually talking about my stick season jumper with Yenny, who is Finglish Knits, who's also done a bunch of my patterns, and she's also a knit nighter and also done pictures. And she's just finished a stickless stick season, and she said, I can't believe how well it fits for a drop shoulder. And that is because there's lots of underarm shaping, for one, and two, it's not like a full drop, so you don't need as much fabric to make it fit around the bust, because it's a narrower drop, and then you've got these short rows to help shape the sleeves. So yeah, there's a reason I keep coming back to this design. Sorry, I've got my hair stuck in my glasses. There's a reason I keep coming back to it, and that is because it fits so well, and it just feels like a really casual fit. It's not like really fitted, but I love it. So it's knit, you knit the back panel first, then you shape around here, and then you join in the round and you knit straight. It is knit in 3x1 rib, which I find really, like, I'm not a big fan of ribbing. I've mentioned before that I can have gauge problems with ribbing. I had no problem with this pattern. And once you're joining the round, it's 3x1, so like working ribbing flat is basically the same as working stockinette, because instead of working 1 purl row, 1 knit row, you're working like 3 knit, 1 purl, 3 purl, 1 knit, so it's the same number. And then when you're in the round, it's 1 purl stitch every 4 rows, and that's 44 stitches, and that is not that hard. So I didn't find it as laborious as I thought I would. And I'm already planning more, so that is a sign that I'm not put off by the ribbing. The Polo, there's an instruction about how you can make this deeper if you want to. So it's a relatively conservative height, like it's not a very deep Polo. I do think I'm going to lengthen this. I have a long sleeve version planned, and I will add long sleeve. When I knit the long sleeve one, I'll add long sleeve instructions to the pattern, probably this one's, I don't know, like September, October, when it's getting cold in my part of the world. But you can really comfortably make this deeper or not as deep, and it doesn't affect the collar, it doesn't affect the button bands, like the instructions are really clear on knitting them longer or shorter. So if you wanted this to be like a bit lower or a bit higher, that's also really very easily done. And then it has little cap sleeves, and yeah, I think that's it. The collar is really fun. It's in double knit, and it's one of those things where it's all, I think there's something like 35 rows written out row by row for the collar, and you just stick with it. You just do the row, score off the row, do the next row, score off the row, and it's not tricky, it's just stick with pattern. Yeah, so that's it. I'll show you my samples quickly, and yeah, I'm in love with all of them. The collar does require a bit of like, what's the word, like purposeful pressing or steaming to make it sit right. It's double knitting, it wants to curl up, and you're trying to get like knitting to fold over in itself, which I just think it's not its natural habitat. So this one I really pressed down with, like I really pressed it down with my steamer, the steam function of my iron, and then I just hold it until it goes cold. I don't know if that's what you're meant to do, but that's what I do, and it always works. So yeah, it does like to pop up, and I need to do this on this collar as well for my blue one, and I've not done it. So it was frustrating because I took this sample to the pictures and realised I hadn't pressed the collar properly, which is a bit annoying because it does look like it's popping up in a few of the pictures, which would have been fixed if I just hadn't been so lazy or busy the morning of the pictures and I stopped and pressed it. And I still haven't pressed it. So this is my DK weight version. My DK ones are knit up in Camerose Summer Old. I'm okay with it. It's 70 wool, 30 cotton, and it doesn't give like summer vibes. I think I would rather use a 50-50 or like a more cotton blend for like a true summer weight. Now for me, for the weather I'm in, this is fine. It'll get probably more wear, but it is like a heavier weight garment, particularly with the wool. It makes it quite dense, but you can see quite nicely the way that the collar works. So you kind of like, you're increasing and working short rows along this line, which is really satisfying to do. And then I've got I used exactly the same yarn for my DK weight round neck one, which again, we'll get plenty of wear in Scotland, but is also quite dense. It was funny because I didn't wear either of these two samples for the pictures, and both knits, so it was Maggie and Audrey. Audrey was a test knitter, but I hadn't finished her sample in time. So she wore one of my samples, and they both said like, you put it on and you think it's going to be quite dense, but actually it was maybe 16-17 degrees last Sunday or last Saturday, and it worked completely fine. So it's still wearable, but that wool content, I think if you're in a warmer country, yeah, I would avoid something as much as 70% wool for this to be super wearable. In the DK weight, go with something lighter. This is this one. I love this version. I did not expect to like the round version as much as possible. What I was thinking, honestly, is I thought people will be put off by the collar because it's harder knitting, but I still want to give her an option for people to knit this if they're like intimidated by the collar. And so I thought, let's add a round neck, and it's this really little dainty, like just a couple of centimeters of round neck ribbing. I love it so much. And it's quite a high neck, which again I like. You can change that by working the neckline increases. I think right now they're every single row. You could work maybe second row, and then instead of it being like a higher collar, it'll be a lower collar, and that would give you more of an open neck. So again, options. And then last but not least is my 4-ply, also sample knit. I wore this last week in the episode. It comes to kind of, yeah, it's quite a bright green. It kind of seems to go dull as soon as I get it on camera, but it is in Filcolana Arvetta in the colourway Olive, also sample knit. I did knit either of my 4-ply versions, and I would now knit a 4-ply version because I love wearing this so much that I can see myself making more of these. So that's what I'm currently thinking. What do I have planned for this? I have a long sleeve, I think camel coloured one planned in DK weight with like a finger and a mohair. And I'm considering making a polo version without the ribbing. If I match gauge without ribbing, I can just knit the pattern. And I think this is something just to think, like a general, maybe everyone knows this and I'm just telling you stuff you already know, but if something has a stitch pattern and you're like, oh, I don't want the stitch pattern, you can just knit to the gauge of the pattern and it's going to work out. So yeah, this has a 3x1 rib, but I'm pretty sure I will be 100% making a non-ribbed version with a polo collar. It's just going to be a plain polo, and I am, yeah, when I'm going to find time to do these, that is the fun question, but I am buzzed for it nonetheless. So yeah, that is Lunan. Yay! I feel like I underhyped this one, and I feel like I'm sad that it's not going to get the love it deserves. Because I feel like I was in a bit of a weird, like all my projects I was hating on them for a little while, and this kind of got caught up in that. So yeah, if you like it, please show it some appreciation and some love. You can click the link to Ravelry, pop a little heart on it, add it to your queue, those things, and please take advantage of the discount code if you want to purchase it. That'll be valid until midnight my time, so British summer time, on a Sunday. Okay, oh, one last thing, sorry. Definitely take a look at the pattern, the testers, because there were some really, really cool things in the test knit. So there were some striped collars with like, you know, like edging to make it quite sporty. There were some double folded over edges. There were quite a few knitters that knit for men. And there were some split hems, like some fun modifications in this one. So I would advise having a look at the tester pictures. It was a big test knit, so there are lots of tester pictures up. Okay, I'm going to take a diversion from my next finished object, because that's a bit of a weird one, to tell you about my next pattern tester call. And this, again, so I thought I would have this finished for today. I do not, but only because I got so distracted by another knit, which I will get to later, that's all I've worked on this week. But I have what I need to call it for the test knit, and this was blocking. It's still a tiny bit damp actually, so that's the other reason I've not knit the second sleeve yet. This is my Nyx sweater. It is a collaboration with Exploring Knits and Fibres. I worked with them last year for my stick season. I have ends everywhere, so I'm trying to tuck them in before I hold this up. and this is inspired by the song Son of Nyx from Hosier. I am a huge Hosier fan, probably my all-time favourite artist. And I love this. It is a little bit out of my comfort zone. It's not like I'm going from like super clean, super classic, modern take on a traditional pattern, which is my usual vibe, to like a little bit wacky in what I think is the most fun way. So this is Nyx. I love it so much. I feel like it's like very like après-ski. Probably not in these colours, but I could see this, you know, like almost like 80s-esque fun big colour work. This sleeve is not done, do not be fooled, but if I hold it like this, it looks like it's completely done. And yeah, I've now blocked this. I've got all my gauge worked out. This is a DK weight yarn, but I've knit it to like, it's almost an Aran gauge, and I have no issue with the yarn. It's filled up and like puffed into the space lovely. So it's 20 stitches and 20 rows. And yeah, I guess since last time I finished this bottom hem, I was kind of humming and hawing what to do with it. And then the sleeves have got an additional motif. They've got this repeated again, and I just love it. Oh, I absolutely adore it. I feel like as soon as I start work, sorry, I'm going a bit too fast. I'm trying to go slower. I feel like as soon as I try colour work again after a little while, I'm obsessed with it all over again, and I have 1,000 ideas. I need to finish the second sleeve so I can cast on my second sample. So the test call is down below. It's a Google form. It'll be open again till Sunday. The test net will start on Monday. It is an 11.5 week test. I'm pushing closer and closer to 12 weeks. 12 weeks is the goal. The last one was 11, I think, and this is 11.5. So like, I'm getting there. And then hopefully we'll get up to 12 for the foreseeable. I'm currently knitting on patterns that are coming out in January so that I can be ahead of the curve in terms of testing. So I can give testers longer time to test knit. So yeah, I talked about this a lot in the last episode, but yeah, 11.5 weeks. So it is all over colour work, 20 stitch gauge, so it goes fairly quickly. But it is 11.5 weeks, so hopefully that means people feel that they could commit some time to it. There are two versions. There's this version with all over colour work, and there's colour work on just the yoke. And for just the yoke colour work, it goes down to like the row where this eye is on, but the eye isn't on it. You could add the eye if you want to, but yeah, so it's going to go down to this one. So it ends, from my size, bang. The colour work will end right where the yoke is separating, with like a little bit past the yoke separation. Obviously depending on yoke depth, that might not be the case, but it's approximately there, and the rest is in the plain colour. The pattern then is all plain, but you could, for example, add the 1x1 at the cuff, or like all this at the cuff. You could add some fun stuff at the bottom. Like, there's lots of options there. But yeah, two options: colour work all over, colour work or just the yoke. I'm excited for the next one. I need to check with Explorer Knits because I have a colourway that's not been released yet, and I don't know when I can talk about it, and I need to make sure I know before I cast it on and give away any spoilers. So that is sitting in my office waiting to be cast on, and I've just not touched it yet. I'm also planning for sure a Christmas version. I really want either like all over cranberry red with white fuzzy yoke only, or the reverse, so all over like creamy white with the colour work in cranberry red. It's gonna happen. I'm already excited for it. Yeah. So yeah, that is it. I feel like it's giving wacky and fun, and I'm hoping people are excited by it. So the tester form's down below. There will be like 3 testers per size, and modifications are always welcome. There's a bit more information if you click through to the form. There's more information about yardage and sizes and all those things. Cool. Okay, that's my admin out the way. Let's jump backwards a little bit to a finished object, but in a strange way. So last week, you may have, if you've watched last week, I was knitting a blanket. I showed a swatch, and we went away for the weekend, and I knit one stripe of my blanket, and I do not like the yarn. I came home, washed it, and blocked it, and I was like, no way, Jose. So this is it. It is, I don't even know what the swatch is, but ultimately there are these stripes, and then I'll add a new stripe, and each stripe will wave like this, and it's just a really fun garter stitch. And I really like it. I love the shape of this. I'm really excited. I'm especially excited because I ordered yarn to make the actual sample last night, and I was humming and hawing, humming and hemming. hum and a haw. I don't know what those two words are. I feel like this is where people say tenter hooks, and they get the wrong one. Am I getting the wrong one with hum and haw? Not sure. So I knit this all up. This is one ball of drops fine merino, and it's super wash, and it just like went like, it splayed so much, and I had such a nightmare like wrangling it. Now it's dry, and you can see dry, it has gone back into shape, but like I had to like wrangle it and like pin it into shape to get it like this, and I was just not a fan. So all that to say, I'm starting over. I'm using a different yarn. It's not super wash. I've got my colour palette sorted. I'm so excited for it to arrive. It's not going to start arriving until next week, I don't think, so I need to like chill myself out, but yeah. And then I realised I ordered a blanket quantity of this, which I think was like 8 balls of yarn, and I don't like it. So I was like, what am I going to do? So it is a baby yarn, and I've got some people that I know are having babies. So this is temporarily on pause. I just pulled it out of where it had been blocking. It is lovely afterwards, like it's nice and squishy, but it just splayed and went, oh, I was not a fan. I did not like how big and flat it went. Now I've not woven in all of my ends, but I had some left. Well, I've got lots left, and I thought, okay, it's made for baby knits. I've got people that I know having babies. Let's just knit some baby stuff. Knitting for babies is so cute. They're so tiny. It goes so quickly. So yeah, I'm not pregnant. Just let's make that clear. But seeing these makes me want to be pregnant, because I'm just like, I want one. I want something that will fit inside one of these. My puppy would kill me if I tried to put him inside one of these. Look at this. It's just a little jumpsuit thing. It's a Petite pattern. I cannot remember what it's called. Sister thing? Brother one? One of them's fingering, one of them's DK. It's the DK one. I did not measure my gauge. I cast on the middle-ish size and thought if my gauge is under, it will fit them earlier, and if my gauge is over, it will fit them later. It's so cute. So my plan is to make a little like capsule wardrobe. I need some little buttons. In my head I was like, oh, wooden buttons, and I thought no way, because they can't go in the wash that way, so I'm gonna get some plastic buttons. I probably have some in stash, to be honest, and it's just, oh, it's so cute. It's knit up in 2 days. Not even 2 days. It would have been less if I was thinking about things properly. This little, it's bottom up, so you knit this little like booty patch. There are two, like one comes around the back, and then this gets running around, and then you just split for sleeves again, split for sleeves, split for front and back. Make these little tabs. Oh, so yeah, would recommend this for sure. Could see myself making more of these for babies in future, and it is lovely. Like I do think with the stockinette and knit up much nicer than the garter stitch. There's obviously garter detailing that still worked out fine for here, but compared to how this happened, yeah. So I think I'm gonna make a little garter cardigan to go with this, and then I might use the rest of the blankets for just a garter stitch, like corner to corner blanket, and see how that goes. But yeah, so that's the finished object. It's now gonna go back into my stash until I see my baby people again, which is gonna be a little while yet. But like, imagine owning, not owning, you don't really own a child, but you know what I mean, having a thing that fits into one of these, and they, oh, I don't know, can't imagine it. But yeah, very cute. I'll put the pattern name for this probably down below, but it's a Petite knit pattern. I think it's called the Sister Suit, Sister Romper, Sister something. And yeah, I will make more of these. This will be my go-to, I think, for like anyone with a baby anytime soon. They're getting one of these because it was fun and quick to knit. And it's quite engaging because you're working these little triangles and they go quite quickly. Like that's like 30 minutes, and then you're just knitting in the round, and that's a fun little knitting in the round. And it's a nice, at this size it's almost like a hat circumference, and that's just like whoosh, 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 you're flying, and then you're just splitting the back again. Very fun. So a success with the yarn, and unsuccessful with the yarn, but it will become something. I'm determined to not just order the yarn and let it waste away. Okay, I have 3 more whips. I forgot about this one. I'll show you this one because it is, I mean, it's the one that's coming out in January, so it's probably the worst one to show. This is another example of I start sampling, knitting a sample, designing, don't know what the word is. I start doing my first sample, and then I'm like, oh, what about this? Oh, we could try this. Oh, maybe this is an option too. So I had to make a list the other day of all the features I'm adding to this pattern to make sure that I can cover them all with 3 samples. I can, which is good, but yeah, I'm very, very excited for this. And despite the fact that it is glorious sunshine, probably this weekend is the best sunny, like the best weekend of sunshine we're gonna have all summer, or we've definitely had to date. I am thinking about winter, and I'm gonna get cozy, and I'm ready for coziness. So, I'm midway through a row, of course I am. I'm just going to put these all on once, I'll come back and fix it later. So I, last year, released the Stick Season sweater. I love my Stick Season sweater. One of my favourite patterns, for sure. Have more of them planned, without doubt. And I decided to make a Stick Season jacket. And I've had this yarn, I talked about it before, but I will go over it briefly. It is Studio Donegal soft tweed, and this is what it looks like knit up. It is fun and textured. It has these like little pops of colour, tweedy colour in there. Bought this in Ireland on the day that I released my very first ever pattern, and it's sat in stash ever since, and I've not found anything to knit with it. This is it. So this is the Stick Season. Is kind of like a Gansey. It's got this textured pattern in the top. It's got faux seams down the sides, very similar to traditional Gansey. It's got a drop shoulder where a traditional Gansey does not have that. So it's kind of like modern shaping, but traditional features. So like the textured yoke and the faux seams. This version has got no texture. It does, they all have the side seam, so they all have the side seam So there are three options. You can do no texture at all, you can do just the yoke texture, or you can do all over texture. And then you can do like a little jacket, like popping jacket collar, a shawl collar with a longer length, and just a regular collar. And then there are also pockets, like patch pockets you could add if you want to, and like a double folded cuff. So like the cuff will be twice the length and you can fold them back over. I want to be knitting all three of these now, but like I said, it's coming out in January. It is July. I can chill. Like, I don't need to get going with this, but I keep picking this up, and there's a reason this body of this cardigan is almost finished. I just want to knit it. Now, I mentioned this before. This looks like a pound of mince. Looks a bit. It's hanging all funny. I think this yarn does not do particularly well pre-blocking. It looks scruffy, but I keep looking at my swatch and being like, no, it's going to look lovely once it's blocked. Everything just feels like it's like hanging in the wrong place. But this is what we have. So I'm on the bottom ribbing, so I've not got very much longer to go. You can see there's the faux seam. It will block out like and be very detailed. And it's got this shoulder detail that the Stick Season has originally. So this version is going to have the pockets, and I think maybe the double folded cuffs, but I've not decided that yet. And then the next version is going to have the yoke textured, the jacket collar, and probably the folded cuff. Maybe that one's above the folded cuff. And then with the third version, I think my mum is getting it, because I'm not really a shawl collar gal. Like, I want to be a shawl collar person when I have like a beautiful big farmhouse, and like you just slip on this big long cozy jacket and then you wrap yourself up in it. I'm not that person. I'm like sweatpants, like joggers, scruffy joggers, and like an oversized jumper. That is me. One day when I am an elegant lady, I will be someone who wears something with a shawl collar. But I called my mum and I was like, it's quite nice as well because my stepdad modelled the Stick Season, so I thought it'd be quite nice to get her own Stick Season. And like I said, it's coming out in January, and we already know where we're going. We're going to a cottage up in the very north of Scotland for New Year, and I thought this would be so nice if I could knit it to give it to her for Christmas, and then we can do the pictures at New Year when we're on this trip. So I'm already planning well ahead. The shawl collar version is going to have all over texture. I'm so excited. I was looking at I was sending her some pictures of like examples of what I have in mind, and there were all these like 80s, amazing 80s like big shawl collars, and like, oh, they just looked so cool, and every single one she was like, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one too. So I'm really excited. I need to work out what colour is going to work. My second version is in green. It is in the yarn I got at Rhinebeck last year, which is from Vermont, which is where Stick Season the term comes from. So like I'm tied to that yarn. So if I've got like this off-white sort of yellowy beige, I've got a green version. I need to work out what the third one's going to be. I do have some Rauma Vams coming to try. I've heard great things about that yarn. And I think with this being more of an outerwear, it could be a good option for it. It should work gauge wise. It's a thicker gauge as well, sorry, than the Six Seasons. The Six Seasons 21 stitches, I think this is 17 stitches. So it's bigger, so it can take a chunkier yarn to be more of like an outerwear. And yeah, we're gonna try some VAMs by Rauma. I've never knit with Rauma before, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'll see if I think it's soft enough for her to be able to wear. And if it gives me the stitch definition I want. And if not, I have some other considerations. There's maybe some John Arbon worsted I could consider. There is some West Yorkshire Spinners BFL I can consider. And yeah, just to work out a colour. I think a really, really rich chocolate brown, like a camel, not chocolate, more like a camel brown. That's too light. Like a mustard. Like a, I don't know what the colour is I'm looking for. You know, like dark mustard, like not like Dijon is like very light and then English mustard is there. French, is it French mustard? Like the really rich dark one. I'm thinking that would look really nice. And I think she'd wear it a lot. She likes to wear brown. So on the hunt for that yarn. But that is okay. And then also all over texture is going to be a lot on my hands, but that's okay. So yeah, that's Six Season. Almost finished the body. Shouldn't really be working on it. I keep putting it away and be like, don't work on it. You've got other things that are priority. And then it just like sneaks back in and I just do a couple of rows and I'm like, ah, yeah. So that's really fun. Okay, 2 left. Okay, let's go into the one, we're gonna get into a colour scheme here where everything else I'm working on is the same colour that I'm wearing. But that's okay. So, Kip. Kip is currently in testing. I'll pop a picture of Kip. It is the same construction as this, in that like shoulder shaping, picking up, all those things that I really like at the moment, that I'm really like leaning into. And it has this beautiful herringbone stitch pattern that's created with slip stitches. And I have my first sample done and I'm making my second sample in this colour, which is actually more orange than red. It is, it's just so nice. It's quite bright, but yeah, I love it. So when we went away 2 weeks ago, I took the back panel with me in the car as my cast on, got quite far, and I've now knit like one of the fronts, well, the front before it gets joined for the front, and I've got the other side to do. And this is what the herringbone stitch looks like. So I use exactly the same yarn for my first sample, so I know that it's gonna like puff up a little bit, and like it's a little bit holy at the moment, but I will not stay that way. You can kind of see the light shining through. Here we go. But it will like, yeah. So I'm really excited for this. I just, yeah, I love it. It's my first of my longer tests. So I used to do maybe like 10 week tests. This one's 11 weeks. And then I've lulled myself into a false sense of security about how much time I have. Because I think I have like 5 weeks. And it's relatively, it's not labour intensive. It's not a hard stitch. I feel like with my previous patterns with like dip stitches, it's quite like intense to do this like pulling of stitches. It's not that, but it's slower going because you've got a lot of rows to get in because of the slip stitches. So it is 40 rows per 10 centimeters, whereas a lot of like DK weight patterns are, I think it's 20 or 22 stitches across by 40, and usually for like a 20 stitch across it'd be like 28 rows. So it's almost a 25% more rows per 10 centimeters than another yarn of this would be in like stockinette. So you have to work more rows. But the rows are easy because you just knit, knit, slip, slip, knit, knit, slip, slip, purl, purl, slip, slip, purl, purl, slip, slip. Say that 10 times fast. Something I really love, and I don't think it's quite as obvious here. Oh, the puppy's awake. The puppy's not meant to be awake yet. It has this like single stitch detail around the shoulder, which works really nicely. So yeah, I'm using, I think I mentioned already, the Rerum Natura Ulysse, and I'm using 5mm needles, and I need to make a move on and get the rest of this done. It would be nice to get the body started this week. So if I can get myself to a point where I'm ready to go in the body I can, like once you're in the round it goes way faster. And maybe the collar. Maybe if I can get joined in the round and get the collar done this week, I will be in a good place. Okay, I'm gonna go check on the puppy. He's just my partner, but I am in the puppy playroom. So I'm gonna go check on him and then I'll come back to my last working. Okay, I thought that would be a very brief little break and it turned into a lunch break. So it's been like an hour since I did my last section. I think all I have left is one more whip a little bit of yarn acquisitions, and some life updates. So my last whip is the one which has taken all of my focus and brain space for this week. And it's new, but not that new. If you've been watching for a while, you'll know that I am attempting to make a wrap cardigan. Oh, my door is making lots of noise. There we go. I'm attempting to make a wrap cardigan, and I have a vision. Top down, set in sleeves, or like picked up sleeve, but like the look of set in sleeve. I want it to be a nice level of wrap, like low enough, lower than this, but like not so open that you could, I want to be able to wear it that you wouldn't be able to see anything underneath it. No gaping, like there are lots of things I want to make sure is right with this one. And part of making sure that it's right has been quite a lot of attempts. So this is technically attempt number 3. Attempt number 1 was pretty good. It was bottom up. The V was perfect, like the wrap was pretty good, but what I struggled with there was a little bit of gaping, so I've changed the edging, and the armhole was too deep. Version 2, my swatch didn't grow in length, but my finished object did. It's alpaca, so I'm not massively surprised that it grew in retrospect, but it meant that my V went from being here to being like here after blocking. So we're back to the drawing board. I've changed things up quite a bit, and what I've ended up doing is varying the rate of increase. So from here, from the shoulder pickup to like where the V's cross, is one rate of pickup, like one rate of increase. And then from here to about halfway down the body, it's another rate of increase, and then to the end of the body, it's a third rate of increase. So there's a lot going on, a lot of maths, and it's been a weird one where on paper the maths have made a lot of sense, but more than once I had to rip out and try again because the maths made sense, but it didn't really work on a body. So there's been a lot of ripping out with this. I think I'm happy. Once the body is completely finished, I will know for sure, but I've been trying it on a lot, and I'm now just into the section of the third rate of increases, and I'm hoping that's going to work the way I want it to, and then we are good. And I've already pre-warned my tech editor that she can expect a lot. I'd like her to do some bust shaping on this one, and I'm considering waist shaping. For me, there's not a massive difference between, especially with a wrap, between my bust and my waist. It's like 5 centimeters. So I can wear this as like, it will not like, it'll still be fitted the whole of my body, but I would also like to consider some waist shaping so that if your bust and your waist have a dramatic difference, so like maybe you're busty but you've got a small waist, or vice versa, you can make sure it shapes where you want to shape. There's also going to be 2 lengths. There's going to be a short length which hits right on the waist, and a slightly longer length that goes down to the hips. So this version is knit in a new to me yarn. This is Sandnesgarn Tynn Pure Gynt. So I've really enjoyed working with this. It's 100% Norwegian wool. Pure Gynt, the regular one, is very well praised. I hear lots of good things about it. I think I've knit with it before, but I can't think of what I've knit with it. But I'm sure I've used it. I think in those scenarios I quite often opt for Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool because they're the same yardage, but Pure Gynt I think would be great to try more of. And then this is Sandnesgarn Tin Silk Mohair in the same colour. So they're both, I think, scarlet. They're very bright red. They're real like letterbox red. I have the laptop sitting on a Monopoly box and they are the exact same colour as a Monopoly box red, if that helps anyone. And let me show you what I've got, although I feel like with a wrap it never really quite works. So I cast this on this week, so it has really, really been flying. And there are so many really fun little techniques in this, so let me try and show you them. Okay, this is where we're at. This is where we're at. So yeah, it's completely blowing out because it is so red. So I've knit about 15 centimeters. It's going to be another 10 centimeters before I do some ribbing, and that's going to be the one that hits right on the waist. It's going to have I-cord ties, so there's no hole in the side of it. You just have a tie on the inside and a tie on the outside. And some features that I'm a big fan of. I really like, there's an I-cord edge before on my first version. Well, not my first version, my second version. There's an I-cord edge there. But this is a lot of detail, so I'm sorry if you're really not interested, but I'm going to share it anyway. I was doing make ones, like a bar increase. So that is like what I would consider to be a traditional make one. So make one right is that you lift up the bar between the 2 stitches from the back to the front, and you knit it through the front loop and then make one left just for the front to back through the back loop. So you twist that bar to make it into a new stitch. What I was struggling with is that the I-cord combined with that bar was making the I-cord really, really tight and like pulling it up. So the whole, this edge was really like curving up because the I-cord was too tight. So I changed my method of increase to, I've actually made a mistake on one, I can see it right now. Anyway, hopefully that doesn't stay that way. Have I made the same mistake on the other side? No, just one side. So I'm now doing a backwards loop increase, which is just exactly that. So you make it a backwards loop stitch the same way as you'd make a backwards loop cast on, and they're oriented, there's two different ones, they're oriented one way, oriented the other way, and then it makes new fabric, so it's not pulling anywhere near as much, which is really nice. I do still want this I-cord edge to be a little bit tighter because that tighter I-cord edge is what's going to stop it from gaping, because this fabric is tighter than the rest of the fabric, so that's going to like pull that edge in and stop you from, I don't know if this is like a universal experience, but my experience of wraps is that like gapes here, and trying to get in sewing, if you don't want to, there are different methods, but a lot of the time if you want to gape, you add more fabric to the wrap, but then you end up with a higher wrap. I still want a little bit of that like sexy, little bit of cleavage on the go. I don't really have any cleavage, but you know, if there was one, that's where the cleavage, that's where it would be. So yeah, I'm really pleased. My armhole depth is way better. We're sitting about 21 centimeters, which is what I would aim for. And something that I really like is, this is the back edge, and you can see there's an I-cord there. What we do is you pick up, you cast on for an I-cord, and then you pick up along the back neck, and then you carry it down. And then for the other edge, you pick up from the I-cord and it goes all the way down. So you get this, it's a tiny bit fiddly to start with, but it is literally, I think like 13 stitches of fiddliness. And then, yeah, it also has shaping at the neck edge, which is something also new to me. So it's making it hard to show, but I guess you can see here, that edge is like triangular. Can you see that? So that's not like this, that edge goes down. And that is because this little triangle here are short rows. Because, you can't really see it, it's the one room will see it, but if it's coming out of the neck, this is higher than your shoulder. So it will like sit on the slant of your shoulders better. So all that to say, there's a lot of thought going into this pattern, a lot of like consideration about fit. And I'm just hoping we're on track. I'd like this to come out in November, the thought being Christmas. I thought it'd be really nice, like more festive wear. I've realised that my row gauge in this is the same as my row gauge that I got on my grey version. So my grey version is going to be my second sample. And that's going to be the slightly longer one because I could feel like seeing that with like a pair of jeans I really see working. This, like the slightly shorter one with like a high-waisted skirt in winter, like a black skirt. Just think that'd be really nice. To be honest, also my black jeans, but yeah, I am looking forward to this. I am excited both about the knitting of it and about the finished object. We are getting to the territory where it's a lot of stitches. I think we'll end up with like around about 300 stitches on the needles, which is a lot of stitches. So the rows are getting longer and longer. But yeah, I mean, and then the sleeves are going to be great because they're just knitted in the round. And there will be some short row shaping, similar to here, but more dramatic. There's a little bit of short row shaping here. This will have a lot more short row shaping, so it can really curve all the way around the top of the arm. And yeah, it's been really fun. And you can actually see, I should really say it does have a hole in it. You can see how the rate of increase has changed, I think. So if you look at this section was the first bit. And then it got, like you can see the curve, maybe you can't tell. So here to here was one rate of increase, and then it got slightly sharper. And in the last little bit here, you can see that it's gotten even sharper, that rate of increase, because the curve is getting more dramatic, because I'm adding more stitches. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I'm nervous. I think it's going to be, it's not all about maths on this, like a lot of the time you can just math it, but it's so fitted that like you have to consider so many things, and I'm just a bit nervous. But we're going to keep knitting. This is my primary like stockinette project right now, and this week, I mean I had none of this at the start of this week, so and I had to rip out the two fronts and start the fronts again on Monday. So I think I started it on Sunday, and I finished the back panel and started the fronts, and then realised I initially tried to go with a much shallower rate of increase, and I found that my cross for the wrap was happening like here, and I was like, that's not what I want at all. So it took a bit of practice, but I think we're on the right track right now. It is in the bag that every single time I talk about this bag, someone asks me about it. It was gifted. It's from a brand called Polo. And they don't make this bag anymore. If they ever made this again, or like one similar, I would hit myself in the face with that. I would get one in a heartbeat. I love this bag. They brought out other ones with different patterns, but this pattern is what sold me. Cool. That's all my work in progress. So let me jump quickly into acquisitions. I have a couple of things. One is very, very old and I've never shown it, and I kept meaning to show it and kept forgetting to show it, which is just frustrating. But that's okay. So there was a range called True Colours from Sunday Yarn Company. Sorry, Sunday Fibre Company. We have a lever in Canada, yeah, Vancouver, Canada. And I got a specialist quantity of their fingering and their mohair, and I just think it's beautiful. This colour is called Blew Me Away. The fingering is untreated, so like non-superwash. Merino 400 meters per 100 grams, and this is 70/30 mohair silk for 35 meters per 100 grams. So my plan is a stickless stick season, but you know, we'll get around to it at some point. Who knows when? Or if I've got an idea before then, which also might happen, honestly. So yeah, that's been in my stash for, I think it arrived like over a month ago, and I keep meaning to talk about it, I keep forgetting, but I went to look for yarn and I thought, take that out, talk about it in the podcast. And then I also got a package this week of lots of hand-dyed yarn. I say got a package like someone sent it to me. I bought this yarn. So there is a dyer called Paisley Knits. I think if I say Paisley, I want to say Paisley, but I'm pretty sure it's Paisley. And they had a set of summer yarns. I keep trying to work out why my hair looks so different. I had it pinned before lunch. I must have taken the pins out over lunch. Anyway, there was a summer series. I don't know if it's on here what it was called. No. There was a set of summer yarns, and I bought this at the start of summer when I was very feeling the summer vibes. I am now feeling the autumn vibes, so these might be knit up next year, but that is okay. This is Sunny Sock. It is 50% merino, 50% cotton, and it is in the colour Zesty, and it's this beautiful like limey green. I've got 2 of these, so like just over 800 meters. And then this is Salty DK, which is merino to 246 yards. So what is that? I think this is maybe the same base as Explorer Knits Earthy. I think it is. I'm not 100% sure, but it's exactly the same yardage and it feels pretty similar. Anyway, and this colour is Aperol Spritz, and it is this glorious orange. So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of over summer knitting at the moment. Like I've got my patterns, I'm ready to go, and now I want to get into all the cozy knits. And I already have some ideas for next year, of course I do. So I'm going to probably park them up and come back to them when I'm feeling a bit more inspired, and that is okay. So yeah, that is everything yarny wise. A final call that if you are interested in Lunen, go take a look at it. Don't forget your discount code. I feel a bit weird. It's weird that it's pattern release day. I feel like under-hyped. I feel like I should feel more hyped than I do. But I don't feel that hyped, which is a bit strange. So yeah. What else? Life update wise? So I went obviously to Australia to my mum's wedding back in March? April. We were in New Zealand and Australia over March and April, but April was when the wedding was at the end of the trip. And they're having like a little at-home party tomorrow. So we're gonna go to that, take the puppy, hope he doesn't cause too much carnage. And other than that, things are pretty good. We've got a lot going on at the moment. Loads and loads, and I think we're both just trying to catch a breath, and we're getting there, which is nice. We've both got a lot going on with work, lots of big changes, lots of big decisions, which is all nice that it's happening, but yeah, both Sam and I are just a little bit like, can we have a quiet few days? Can we have a few days without anything chaotic happening? Maybe, probably not. But it's been quite nice. We're having quite a slow summer. We're not going anywhere. We aren't doing anything exciting or crazy. We're just hanging out with the dog, getting our sleep in, doing the nice things, and it's quite nice because the pace, like the day-to-day pace, is quite slow, whilst the life pace is fast, if that makes sense. Very philosophical. for a Friday afternoon. Yeah, what else did I have to say? Not much else. We're just keeping knitting, keeping writing patterns. I am so inspired right now. I just want to cast on all the things. I want to do all the swatches. So that's a nice way to be. And yeah, I'm going to get the most out of the summer weather before it disappears and I'll step back in winter again. I feel like I'm missing something else I was going to say, but I can't remember what it is. So I'm going to wrap up here before I just start endlessly rambling. Thank you very much for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoy your weekend. If you are interested in the linen, do go have a look at it. Send it to someone who you think might like it. Have a favourite on Ravelry, all those things. And I will be back in 2 weeks with the next episode.